Welcome to Art Speaks Sessions. I'm your host, Abraham Onkst. And in today's video, we have a very special guest. We are interviewing the one and only Elizabeth Sutton Collection. Elizabeth Sutton is an artist, designer, creator, and mother born and raised in New York City. She is very well known for her beautiful, colorful designs that she also implements in the form of wallpaper, home decor, clutches, bags, belts, you name it. She can design anything. Her art and design work has got her notable features in many publications such as Forbes, the New York Times, Architectural Digest, and many more. After following a series of tragic events that left Elizabeth in a form of dismay, she turned to art as her way of coping and her way of getting herself back on her feet. Elizabeth Sutton's story is one of strength, resilience, willpower, self-love, and the healing power of art. Her artworks inspire, uplift, and create a feeling of joy in the viewer. She was gracious enough to sit down for me in this interview and discuss a little bit about her art, business, and personal life. I hope you enjoy this video. If you do, please leave a like, please share. There's a lot of valuable information in here that can really help a lot of artists and business people out. So if you enjoy, please leave a like, comment, share. And here is Elizabeth Sutton Collection. So you have 3 shows coming up starting tomorrow, and I would love to hear a little bit about those and what you have planned for the rest of the summer.
So I have so many amazing things coming up, but most timely tomorrow, I am setting up a pop-up shop and gallery at Bloomingdale's flagship location on the home floor, on the 6th floor for their biggest sale events of the season. 10 fine artworks, 16 custom canvas wrap prints that I am launching just for this pop-up. Selling my fashion accessories. I'm showing my tabletop collection for the first time ever. I don't even have production yet, so I'm pre-selling, which if you know my career, you know that tabletop as a category is like my #1 dream. So this is probably like one of the highlights of my career. And the fact that the first time the world is seeing it, other than through my Instagram, will be at Bloomingdale's 59th Street, where once upon a time I bought every single dish I own, is like, it's a dream. I can't even believe it. It was such a last minute opportunity, and it came right before my one and only Palmy exhibition, and I'll get there. And I'm leaving on Saturday internationally and then nationally for about 2 weeks. And so it's just been a lot, but so that's what's happening at Bloomingdale's. Clutches, tabletop, fine art, canvas prints. They're giving me 16 shelves, beautiful glass shelves. And I will be live painting for a 2-day event on April 28th from 4 to 8 p.m. and April 29th all day. So for me, it's like a big honor, but getting it all ready. And there's so much involved in getting it ready other than just getting it there. They're working with a behemoth like Bloomingdale's is my first time, as I've shopped there 1,000 times. And it's so funny how, as a consumer going into a store like that, you never think of the behind the scenes, what has to happen in order for you to have that beautiful, gorgeous, seamless experience. And I'm learning there's so much. We can talk about that later if you want and get into it, because that's fascinating to learn. That always learning the back of house is so interesting. And then the huge exhibition, probably my biggest exhibition of the year, is at the one and only Palmia in Cabo. I don't know if you know the one and only, but they're one of the most prestigious hotel chains in the world. And I'm having my first ever exhibition in Mexico. Wow. And there was a humongous, the most humongous hiccup you can imagine when my exhibition was supposed to happen back in February. Both teams, myself and them, planned so hard for many months on making it amazing, from the paintings, the creative, the coloring book, the programming, the communications, the marketing, newsletter prep, everything that, content calendar, everything that they're a huge corporation. They have so much content that they have to spit out. So everything is very planned on my end as well, even though I'm not such a huge corporation. And 2 days before the exhibition was supposed to occur, I'm all packed. My assistants and I are ready to go. My kids were supposed to come with me, and my art does not come out of Mexican customs. We've been waiting for a while. I don't even want to get into it because I'm just not into it, but it was honestly probably the most devastating moment of my career. In the moment, it was really upsetting, right? As a partner, they were pissed. I was pissed. I was devastated. I put all my energy into making this happen, my whole team, and it was so much work. And for no reason, honestly, other than they just want more, whatever, for no reason, it all fell through. It was a very devastating and frustrating lesson to learn. Like, it crushed me, and I almost broke. I had like a mini breakdown. And as a partner, and this is like, for me, it's the one and only. I know that if I perform well, there'll be more opportunities. And all of a sudden, you know, even though it wasn't my fault, it reflects poorly. I mean, it reflected it was not. It was just like a lesson to learn. So now I'm going into this kind of with a lot of pressure that I like, but pressure, I guess I perform well under pressure. And either way, like, I know this is going to be such a successful collaboration but now I have to extra perform because of all that happened. So I'm very excited about it, but it was so frustrating, and finally it's coming. So, you know, everything is God's plan. Clearly I was meant to be there at this time, and we're meant to go through that experience to get here. And I know we're going to crush it. That painting is insane. I think the kids are going to love the activities. I think the guests are going to love the live painting. So I'm pumped. We're in the middle of packing. If you see, like, not in front of this wall, but everywhere else in the house, there's like literally mess everywhere because I'm packing for Bloomingdale's, one and only, and Las Vegas, all before I leave, because it's back to back, back to back, back to back. And I don't have time to, I have to get Bloomingdale's out before I go to Cabo. Then I'm in Cabo. While I'm gone, more Bloomingdale's is getting set up. Then I get back. I land from Cabo Thursday night at 9:30 p.m. at Newark, and I have my Bloomingdale's event on Friday and Saturday all day, and I have my kids who I wouldn't have seen in like almost a week, so it's kind of hard. Then I'll be with my kids for like the nights and one full day of, God willing, quality time and snuggles where I think and then I go to Las Vegas to launch my new tile collection with Tile Bar at the HD Expo, which is the largest hospitality convention in the United States. I am launching my meta collection. In fact, I have an email that I haven't even had time to open that just came in from their amazing videographer saying the marketing assets are finally done. It's amazing. Let me know what you think, but I didn't even have time to watch it. That's how busy I
am. Oh my goodness.
But
that'll be a fantastic. Yeah, that'll be a fantastic opportunity, especially with that the tile bar and everything like that. It'll be super, super exciting.
There are 3 fantastic opportunities. There are actually many more coming, but I just need to get through those 3, take at least a 2-day off for Liz and kids and mental well-being period. And then I go to my next set of collaborations with Serendipity, the restaurant that I'm doing a custom commission for, private clients that I'm doing custom commissions for, live painting at an amazing store called Melrose, and then like launching my tabletop collection. So all amazing things, and I just need to take deep breaths.
But so that all sounds incredible, and I hope that I know you've done a lot of work with like Joe and the Juice and other cool restaurants like that. And I'm going to be in Miami this summer, so I hope that I can see some of your stuff in person down there finally. And so one of the biggest things that I really respect and like about you and your work is that not only are you a talented artist and creator, but you're also a savvy businesswoman. And I feel like a lot of creative people in particular neglect the business aspect of creative ventures and of art, and that kind of like leaves them in the shadows a little bit. You know, they're all focusing on their artwork and artwork creation, but they have no business sense whatsoever. And so for me, I think I kind of had like an like innate ability to do business, because whenever I was in 6th grade, I would like take home people's names in my class and doodle them and color them in and then bring them back into class and sell them to them for $10. And that's kind of whenever I realized like, oh, I could start making money even as a 6th grader off of this creative passion that I had. And I was wondering, where did that first idea get implanted in your head of, oh, I can do business and art at the same time and like have a real career?
And keep it as short and sweet as possible, because you're going to find this answer very surprising. I actually got married at 21. I studied marketing and finance. I worked as an intern in fashion for 4 years during college, but I got married as a senior in college. I was, very well off. My ex-husband was well off. I didn't need to work. He didn't particularly want me to work, so I actually had no business experience. I got married super young. I was religious. I never painted. As a housewife, my creative passion was cooking. Here and there, I do arts and crafts just for myself, and not actually painting, like collage and glitter work art, but like shits and giggles. And then a series of losses, a lot of losses. I had like 5 very, very serious traumas happen in 2 years, and like 5 deaths, real losses. We lost all our money. I had one dead best friend hit by a car day after sitting on my couch. I had a miscarriage. My father-in-law died, and I got divorced with a 3-week-old and a 2-year-old. And then 6 months later, my art assistant was killed in my car leaving my birthday party, all within 2 years. That's kind of my art story. During that time, I started to paint because I could no longer afford the art I wanted and envisioned for my son's nursery, and I put it on Instagram. And that's how I became an artist. Okay. I had no business experience. I had absolutely no art skills. I had desperation is pretty much what I had. Desperation and desire to get my happiness back because my life sucked. And not only did my life suck, I had learned such lessons, so much perspective about what was important for me in life and what I wanted out of my life and how I need to make some severe changes, or I was going to die miserable like a lot of people in this world. And I had my assistant who died in my car. He died at 27 years old and left behind a child the same age as my child. However, he died happy. I promised myself I was going to die happy. I told myself everything. Basically, work became an addiction for me to a degree because it was my coping mechanism through all that struggle. I had no money, so I was desperate and I needed the money. And I also didn't really want to think too much about life because I was so sad.
Yeah.
So I had no choice, and I also needed an escape. So I used, my work as that escape, and I taught myself everything. And I'm going to be honest, in the beginning, I wasn't such a businesswoman. I knew nothing about CRMs, spreadsheets, LLCs, accounting, QuickBooks, invoicing, proposals, SOPs, financial models, absolutely zero. And I actually didn't incorporate them into my career in the beginning, which is a big regret, but I didn't know. I straight up didn't know. So in the beginning, I was so fascinated that I had this hidden talent that I didn't know I had because I never took it in art class, that I just kept on like developing. I would hire like art assistants. My work takes a lot of time, 40 to 400 hours per painting. So I would hire art assistants to help me create. So I was like fascinated by my ability to create. And I actually, supply, demand, the whole concept of economics, I was oversupplied and under demand. But that's what I was doing. I didn't know. I was simultaneously just, putting my stuff on Instagram because I had no budgets for my company, zero. I literally was on the verge of bankruptcy with, 2 kids at this time, $30,000 in the bank style when I was doing this stuff. And in New York City, that's not a joke.
No.
And I hustled. Okay. And, over time, it took me years to learn. I've now been doing this for it's been 5.5 years since the accident, where I'd say is when I started getting like serious about work. But I had no clue what I was doing still. And I still didn't have CRMs, and I didn't have all this systems. That came in the past like 2 or 3 years where I learned about, CRMs. I use clothes, tools like DocSend, having an organized drive, all these various, very, very important tools. I didn't learn about them until like 2 or 3 years. And I can't make 2 years max, actually. And SOPs, your best friend, an artist's best friend is an SOP and a financial model. So you can figure out pricing and cost of goods and, even on everything. You need to know these things because you could be selling something and losing money. I have artists sell things that are losing money, literally, because they're like, you can't do that. And I used to do that too, right? I would just launch a product, put a number on it, whatever. Now I don't, right? Now this is just recently where like every single product I launch, and this is very recently, I am building a full financial model around that product. That financial model is including all your COGS, all your fixed costs, your variable costs, your overhead. It's including margins for wholesale and retail. If you ever one day decide you want that as a distribution channel, yes. So I learned over time.
You're treating your art the same way, somebody would run like a real business, like a big Fortune 500. Like you're going through all of the due diligence of a business, and that, I think that is what sets you above most people who are just creating but don't have that solid plan of like where they want to go and how they want to move and operate in the future. And I think that's like what's so great about your art practice. And I think a lot of people could learn from that. A lot of artists could learn from your model.
I don't think it sets me above. I do think that God blessed me with both parts of my brain, whereas most creatives don't have that. Even though I prefer the creative part of my brain, if you force me to have to do that because I don't have enough capital straight up to have the right people who should be doing that for me, bits and pieces I do, but like I'm still forced to do a lot of it. And it's,
Yeah.
if it doesn't put me above it, it just means that you need to learn to hire those people to help you with it. And or have a partner, a manager, because you should focus on your strengths, which are creating. And, everything has a cost. You find someone who can do the things that you're not good at. And if you can recognize that you're not good at that and you search for that person. And that's all that means. Everyone has their strengths and yeah, it's all about like, spending money on the things that you can't do and in the right order.
Mm-hmm.
Get it?
Yeah, exactly. We're delegating to people who are more advanced in fields where you might not have the knowledge, so you can seek out that knowledge to further along your success.
That's the only way I've learned. And you do have to pay them, right? Like, but it's like a consultant, right? And that's how you learn. And it takes time and it takes years, and you can't expect to learn overnight. I think what sets me apart, it's funny. You're saying the business sets me apart. I actually think the things that set me apart are my work ethic, because I am willing to work 18 hours a day to get me traveling around the world, because that's what I want to do with my life. To hopefully one day buy myself a beautiful home. Right now, I'm not even in that position yet, but I'll get there. Right. And I'm proud of that. So I'm willing to work harder than most. That's the truth. But actually what sets me apart is I am a creative genius. Okay. I am actually a better creative than most creatives. And I'm not trying to be arrogant or sound obnoxious, but God, because it all came from God. But God blessed my brain such that it sees small details, compositional layouts, scaling, palettes, color, perspective better than most people. I can look at a space and say, that's a half an inch. I can look at a big board and say, wait, that's not centered. It's half an inch off, right? Like it's just how my brain sees. So I actually think that that is my biggest advantage, and that I am multidisciplinary in that my creative doesn't just apply to one medium, to just paintings or just designing one type of thing. I can truly design anything with any material, with any process. I can figure out how to make it. I understand how to talk to factories and learn how things are made, so I can reverse engineer the design, understanding costing models associated with it to try and balance exceptional design with, market demand and market pricing. And I actually think that that is my unique capability, my work ethic and my creative genius.
Yeah, exactly. No, I definitely see that as well. So in my studio practice, I kind of have like my like fine art, as they would call it, like my paintings and things of that nature, and then I take those and transfer them into things like men's suiting, such as like pocket squares. I do other home decor items as well. But in my mind, there's kind of like a separation of this is my fine art and this is my, not that they're one's higher or lower, but like this is my like stuff I would put.
One is higher and one is lower. Okay.
Okay.
Yes.
So
One is higher and
I was wondering, how do you separate your fine art from your design work, and do you have one that you prefer over the other?
So my favorite thing to do in life is to paint. Okay. I'd much rather paint with my brush than design on a computer, although I do like designing.
That's me too.
But I love my paintbrush because I really just enjoy mixing the color and going like this and zoning out and listening to my music, right? That's my happy place. But I love doing all design. I really do. I actually made a big error, and nothing's an error. Everything happens for a reason. God has a plan. You have to take, that's how you have to take everything that happens, the rejections, all of it, the hard times, so that you have the right mindset. But so I wouldn't actually suggest being as scattered as I am and doing so many things, especially in the beginning. Okay. What happened with me is that I started with fine art, and then I knew I needed to do a product because I couldn't make enough money out of fine art, especially back then when my art was selling for way cheaper. Now I make most of my money from my fine art, but it's not the scalable thing. Some of my things take 400 hours. Okay. Even with a team, it doesn't matter. But I wish I would have like just done one or two products really, really, really well, built that engine of stable income that is consistent coming in from that scalable product, right? Because art can go like this. And then expanded past there. What happened was I left my marriage. I was doing fine art. I had a plan to launch a tabletop collection. Man plans, God laughs. My assistant was killed in my car. And after that happened, I got so scattered. I wasn't really good in the mind. My two key men were down. One was dead. One was in the hospital, bleeding in his brain. I was an emotional, mental wreck while having to be a mother to my children and figure out how to pick up the pieces of the business that I just started to build that was now crumbling on so many levels. And I told you my coping mechanism was just to work. And so I just achieved anything I could. I would reach out to most random people and just like do anything I could. Joe and the Juice. That's how I reached out to Joe and the Juice. Barry Lynn. I saw my first licensing deal. Then I got a paid design deal by Janovic. I painted the MP pool. They paid me 20 grand, which was way too cheap for that. But at that time was my biggest commission. It was
I remember that
years ago, and cool, one of my coolest projects ever.
Yeah, very cool.
And then I got paid by Janovic to develop color palettes and environment. So all these like random revenue streams started coming into play. And then I decided out of desperation to launch my clutches. I was working on the tabletop, but I launched my clutches because it was easier and quicker and I needed the money. And I like accidentally created licensing. It was never an intention. And then I did my clutches, which were an intention, but not my initial intention and not my like exactly where I wanted to be if I had to choose my passion, right? And then I just like it just got confusing, right? But I was just it was like a mental survival plus a financial survival. I'll take any revenue stream, and I just was like healing also. So like I was just surviving. And then after I got out of survival mode, and I was in a lot of therapy to get myself straight and heal and all these things in my life, I was like, wow, I just created all these revenue. I basically threw like spaghetti at a wall and I was seeing what was going to stick, what was sticking. And it appeared that everything was starting to stick. But then COVID hit just as I launched my clutches. So that was a disaster. But it was appearing that little bits and pieces, there were opportunities within each vertical, within each revenue stream, right? I had my fine art, my limited edition prints, my clutches, my licensing, my design deals, my commercial deals. And it was all little by little trickling in. I was like, in order to make this grow, I need capital underlying me, which I really didn't have. And I still don't have other than what I make. And I took for my first time ever a very small SBA loan, but I need a real capital raise, which is what I'm working on now. So I'm learning so much about financials. You have no idea. Financial modeling, KPIs, human personnel, how versus, contracting out, who you have on your team, all these metrics that investors, if you ever want to get there, are going to analyze and an artist is going to have no clue about, including myself, and I'm learning. And then aside from the metrics and the, expenses, the revenues, the overhead, fixed, variable, this, that, projections. Oh my God, projections. How many events? How many can you expect to sell? What's your average price point? What's the mix? Okay, you think you're going to sell 60% of clutches at the event and 40% of prints, or 30, so we can figure out what's the average that we think we're going to make, projections, right? That's what investors want to see. And then on top of the projections and the whole model, you have to learn about the actual raise and the cap table of the shares in your company and what type of company and what type of structure, an LLC versus a C Corp versus an S Corp, blah, 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 dilution, core team, blah, 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 blah. So,
and more lawyers. lawyers.
So what I spend almost no money on lawyers, but you need lawyers. I have a lot in my family, thank God. But guys, blockchain, your IP. If you ever want to have me on again, when I have more time, I would rather focus like a session for creatives on like advice I can give type of thing, right? Like how to protect your intellectual property. What tools would I suggest you use starting from the beginning? CRM, I use Close. What tools, they cost you money, right? But they're very, it takes money to make money. DocSend costs $1,800 a year, but it's my favorite tool in the whole wide world. So one day I'd love to share all these, tools, these technological tools, that I've used to, that are going to help me get there. Yeah.
Do you have
But focus would be better. If you can go
focus?
to one product, do it really, really well, promote the shit out of that like crazy, focus only on that so everybody knows that's what you're doing, this is what you do every day. Put it, be genuine in your approach, but that's what they think you do. And once you do that well, you add another one. Okay. I wouldn't suggest doing what I did. That was just life.
Spreading yourself a little too thin.
First of all, I am spread thin, but I think that's how I operate. My life forced me to have to learn to operate that way. And at this point, that's like my modus operandi. But it's not that. It's that people don't know exactly what I do, because one person sees tile here, the next person sees art, one person thinks I do clutches. And until my brand's like the name of Ralph Lauren, where people just freaking know, it's confusing.
That makes
sense. And I don't have enough space for all the content and all the different areas that I'm creating to give each thing like the right breathing room.
Yeah.
You get it?
Absolutely. Yeah. Do you have time for like a couple more fast questions?
Yeah, I do. I have a call at I have some time. I have till 12:43.
Okay, cool. Yeah, so we can fit a couple more in here.
Yeah.
So born and raised in New York, correct?
Yes.
New York City.
Sixth generation. Brooklyn and the Upper East Side.
And how did New York City and growing up in New York City, did that have any impact or influence on your art early on, or your business sense, or any of the ways that you operate in the world? Like, how do you think New York City and you being in that environment has influenced your life today?
If you would have asked me this question a few years ago, I would have had a much different answer, because I wouldn't have been as aware of how much it has influenced me. But for the first time in my life, I moved out of New York City for 2 years during COVID to Miami, and then moved back. And I also was just dating someone from Switzerland, okay, who moved here for me and whose culture was super different, and seeing how, our differences, and it made me realize how New York I was, right? And how different life everywhere is. So how has New York impacted me? First and foremost, visually, I think and as a creative, there's inspiration literally everywhere here, even in the garbage. Maybe the only thing there's not inspiration in is in the rats, but like the architecture, the stores, just even the storefronts of stores here, right? This is where the companies put all their budgets. Central Park, the rivers, honestly, the architecture, just the people on the streets and the diversity, the Met, I mean, all the biggest, creative cultural establishment, the Met, the Frick, the Guggenheim, the MoMA, the Whitney, the Museum of Natural History. I grew up going to all these museums all the time that I really, I guess, took for granted. And Broadway, I mean, in third grade, I was going to a Broadway show every month with school. This is culture. And culture and the arts are, even though I wasn't an artist, I didn't even realize how deeply, like, the rich culture of fashion. I mean, think about Fashion Week. It's one of the fashion capitals of the world. So I think that was just like in me, because I'm from here. And I have such an appreciation for it, because I grew up with all that, culture and beauty around me. And I actually think I'm very blessed and lucky, even though it could be a dirty city. Considering how many people are here every day, it's not so dirty. But like, there's so much to see and experience, and it's amazing, honestly, creatively for me. From a personality perspective, I realized that I am a true New Yorker. The hustle, it's in my blood. Even when I was a housewife, I would try and keep busy as much as I would cook for 16 people on Tuesday, go to the gym, go to the museum, volunteer in the hospital. That hustle, that drive, that fast-paced energy. I walk fast, I talk fast. I was like this even before I had the traumas in my life. I think fast, like too fast, too fast. My brain thinks in this directions all in 1 minute. And I think that has to do with my genetics, but also a lot to do with New York.
Yeah.
And I'm definitely very, people like to call it aggressive. I'm definitely like assertive. I like to call it assertive and know what I want and get what I want. But I have that like in your face,
Go get
New
it.
York attitude.
I
Yeah.
love it. So how do you see the different art markets? Like, I know you spent some time in Miami and other art markets. I personally really like the Miami and South Florida scene. I'm more of like a palm trees guy. But what's your favorite art market, and like how do you see the different art markets between like LA, New York, and Miami, and all the other ones?
So I don't actually think that way, although I should think that way. I think that way for myself in the future, but not until I have capital underlying me that I can actually have representatives who I pay to represent me in those regions where I am not. What I will say, one of the reasons I went to Miami, but it wasn't the main reason, but I did think that my art would perform very well there because I do a lot of tropical, floral, butterflies, pop, color. I mean, super Miami. And I went down there very excited to like grow my name down there. And my business did well down there, but not because of why I thought. It did well because it gave me a time to focus on internal growth and creating SOPs and learning about business and this and that. And also I did have my fine art clients, but I actually still maintained a lot of them in New York. I really wanted to get in with some of the hospitality companies because I thought my designs would be great for wallpaper, for, everything that they do. I'm very familiar with the hotel scene down there. I wanted to get in with food, hospitality, any of them. Exactly. And what I learned that Miami is a lot about the party scene, and everything in life is about networking, right? And I didn't have a network there. And the way to build a network was not through like business meetings, daytime meetings. It was through like going for dinner at Komodo, Swan, the cool places live, and partying. And that, which is great. I'm not putting that down. It's not my life. I'm a single mom. I was living in Aventura North. And even if I was living in, on the pier, right? Like it's just not my personality. It's not my personality. Okay. I have 2 kids. It's not my personality. I don't like partying. And so I found I actually didn't I will say that in the sense that I want to have an impact on Miami art, like a mural or something like that, I failed in that goal. Actually, I definitely failed to make an impact in Miami with my art, which I was not happy about because my art was perfect for it. But I also realized that the Miami scene was super 305. Just like New York is super 212-917, and I'll give a shout out to all the new 718-347 and 929s. It's not insulted, and 646s, right? But Miami is super 305. And I'm just not a 305er. I didn't know so many 305ers, and I wasn't going and partying to meet them because I just wasn't. I had my kids 100% of the time. So it was very challenging for me. I think if you're young and willing to do that, I think it's an amazing scene for your art. I think there's tons of opportunity down there. There's a ton of money in Miami right now, a ton. And I think it's an excellent market for people who can do that. LA, I don't know much about the market. There is a gallery I'm interested in working on with that I'm going to reach out to once I'm through all these things. I said no to galleries previously, but now I'm starting and I'm working with my first one, the Baldy Gallery. And I'm going to start working with more galleries, God willing. But first I need to just get through all the things. And
you'll do it. I could see you having like big installs on the wall with your like butterflies and kind of like taking over a room. I think it'd be really cool. But yeah, kind of last question here. If you could, the biggest, absolute biggest, even if it sounds absolutely ridiculous, like what is the biggest goal you could ever possibly imagine for yourself?
It doesn't sound silly. It sounds like a very easy thing for me to answer for you. Like I dream extremely big. Like I dream the biggest. So if I fall below that, I'm still like achieving amazing dreams. I would honestly love to be one day, by like within the next 10 years, ideally, I would love to be a household name like across the world, not just the country, the world, in the world of, home interiors and design. Like Ralph Lauren, like Andy Warhol, like Jonathan Adler, Mackenzie Childs, Martha Stewart. You take those personalities, you combine them, and I want people to know Elizabeth Sutton. I want every single person in this world to have something in their home from Elizabeth Sutton. I don't care if it's a picture frame, a placemat, a light fixture, wallpaper, an art print, dishes, pillows, blankets, rugs, furniture. Don't really care. Ultimately, I'd love to go into apparel and that stuff, but like the home is where my heart is, and that's my dream vision.
I love it. Do you
and charity. When I retire, I want to have my own foundation.
Yeah, absolutely. That's always brings a lot of joy. Would you like to dabble into like candles and like collaborating with candle companies if you haven't already?
Yeah, that's anything for the home: pillows, candles, bedding, bath, any category, organization, storage, lighting. There are so many categories that I haven't tapped.
Have you ever done candles yet, or a collaboration with
Nope,
candles? No. Okay.
not yet.
I
You can make an intro. I'm
Yeah,
down.
I know. So I know Harry Slacken. He's like the CEO of Homeworks Candles.
I would love that.
I
I would
think
love
that. I
that.
mean, I think that would be like gorgeous, a collaboration between you guys.
I've already designed candles. I can show them tons of designs.
I'll send them.
You know, the biggest frustration for me, because you follow my Instagram, is you think like the world thinks they see everything I do. As an artist, my biggest frustration right now that I struggle with is the world has seen almost none of what I've done. Because until I secure the deal, I can't share the creative because it'll get stolen. And in the process of developing, pitching deals, getting deals, creating collections, tons of designs I've created I haven't done anything with, and they're so strong. The world's never seen them. It kills me every day. Kills me softly. Okay. So I really need the world to see them.
Yeah. No, I know that it'll reach incredible heights for sure.
God willing. I just need to be patient. I've learned patience is really the skill I need to learn the best. I'm trying.
Yeah, but
I'm trying.
the thing is about it is patience is good, but at the same time, I feel like the reason that you have been keeping this momentum is because you don't accept patience. Like you're like, I want this now. You know what I mean? Like I want this to, and that's the thing that keeps you going and going at a speed that keeps you in the game. You know what I mean? Is the fact that it's so many people, oh, they have so much patience that they never get anything done. You know what I mean? So I think that, it's good that you have a healthy dose of, go getter. And
I think patience with my expectations of payoff, right? Patience with my expectations of payoff is what I mean by that. Not patience with the opportunities I create for myself. Patience with my expectations of payoff. I will have plenty of failure until I hit it, and just be patient because God is doing and God is watching and I'm achieving, and just keep going. That's the moral of what I could tell you. I've had so many setbacks this year, so many, personal, professional. Keep going. As long as you keep going, you have not failed because you're still freaking going. You're still trying. And I'll never stop trying. I'll never stop trying. So that's another lesson I could teach artists. Like, thick skin is crucial. Failures are normal. They happen every day, all the time. Keep freaking going. Have tenacity.
I love it. Yeah, well, thank you again.
Yeah.
Congratulations on the shows and everything. And yeah, thank you.
Guys, follow me on Instagram at Elizabeth Sutton Collection. Go on my website, check out my work, elizabethsuttoncollection.com. You can check out my tile on tilebar.com. I'm excited to launch this collection. Follow along these next few weeks because I'm going to have fire content happening. I really appreciate your time. Thank you for having me.
Awesome.
All right.
Yeah,
Thank you
thank you
so
again.
much.
Thank
I
you
really
again.
appreciate it.
All right. Have a
Bye.
good one. Good luck with everything.
Thank
Bye.
you.